What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the overall markets. I'm going to answer the question: can Tesla see a big breakouts towards the end of the year? What's likely going to happen to the share price, as we're looking for a very common pattern that does tend to lead to some bullish outcomes as time goes on? You should be watching for as time goes on. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposits $2,000 and you're guaranteed 30. So as far as Tesla is going, you guys could quite clearly see that Tesla's been forming this flag so far. This is looking like a bullish flag, but there's no sign of a breakout quite yet. And if anything, we're actually downtrending. We've been in this channel for the last couple of months, and this is likely going to continue, at least for the time being, until we get some kind of break. So the question is, what's happened to Tesla? Should Tesla continue to run, or is it going to see another rug pull? Let me break down my opinions in the next couple of minutes. So just know this about Tesla. When you look at the price pairs ratio, this is how strong Tesla is relative to the S&P 500 and also the QQQ. And you can see there's been a big decline in its strength ever since we got the monstrous rally by December. So since the year has started, Tesla's been on a big decline, especially because of the fact that their sales have been declining over and over again. There's also headlines about how their sales are down in China by 15%. And throughout Europe, we're seeing their sales just down between 30 and 50%, seeing a big decline in everything overall. So with the EU markets dumping, right, the sales are going down in the EU, the Chinese sales are weak, the American sales are down over 11%. This is not the best of news for Tesla. There's been lots of criticism of Elon Musk and for their sales, and that's why the share price has been dipping quite a bit. But what investors are basically betting on, and that's the big thing that's really driving Tesla, is that Tesla could have a $475 price target by the end of the year, according to Gary Black, if a lot of things end up going right outside of just their sales. So, both the benchmark analysts and other analysts from different places have similar views. Many of them believe that Tesla could be running to much higher levels. We have, Dan Ives saying the same thing towards the end of the year. But that's going to be dependent on how well they could really launch their unsupervised autonomous driving systems, robotics developments, and things just like that. Now, during the earnings call, Elon Musk had stated that Tesla's planning on developing thousands of these Optimus robots. And then with the unsupervised FSD that should be launching as soon as June, especially in Texas, this could be a game changer for Tesla because it gives them a product that is outside of just their EV sales for revenue. Because right now, Tesla is very dependent on EV sales and then energy storage, at least for the time being, to get those revenue streams up when you look at their balance sheets and factors like that. And, the latest numbers were not too good for Tesla when you look at their overall revenue being at a bit of a decline, and then seeing the same thing going on when it comes to their, gross margins and such. We had weaker margins, especially in Q4 relative to like any of the quarters in, for the entire year. So we're seeing a lot of these factors kind of feeding into those margins, which is a little bit negative for these common shareholders. So to offset all of this, you want to see Tesla kind of give us something else, something that's much bigger. And that's what investors are essentially betting on. You're betting on the fact that Tesla is not just a car company, it's something so much bigger than that. So for the short term, for the time being, okay, yes, the sales are at a bit of a decline, but yes, things could also improve simultaneously once Tesla announces the official launch of their Model Ys. They should be coming as soon as March, but I want to see them actually on the streets just for confirmation. When the Model Y refresh comes out, that could be a big game changer, especially as they have lots of pre-orders in China. So if this could help offset their sales, that's going to be a big improvement. And then simultaneously, what else could really help them is the things that we've been seeing Kathy Wood and many of these others talking about, and that is the very importance of Tesla announcing a new product, which is going to be the Robotaxi, and getting that out as soon as possible. So there's going to be a lot of constraints with this. So one of the things that Elon Musk said is that when it comes to the robotaxi, it's not going to be adopted very easily, right? If there are, 100,000 car accidents that happen every year, we're not going to see many people talk about them. But if there is a robotaxi that is being used, and people are driving their car and it's under FSD, right? So if they're not necessarily interfering and then there's an accident, that tends to make a lot of headlines, especially if it's fatal, which I really hope does not happen. So it's very important for Tesla to prioritize safety, but you have to understand that the odds are kind of stacked against them in terms of the way the media is going to present this, because the media is going to scream if there's ever an accident, if there's just one accident after 10,000 drives or 100,000 drives or something like that, there's going to be a lot of criticism. So Tesla has a lot of roadblocks they have to get past, but once they at least start to announce the launch of their unsupervised FSD. I think that's going to be a big game changer for them. And that could be the catalyst that really helps them, at least as time goes on. So we need to see another product that is outside of their EV sales. That's what we're basically betting on. That's what these investors are betting on. We need to see more of these Optimus robots being developed. And we need to see Tesla launch that. We need Tesla to also launch their, FSD and give us a glimpse of the Robotaxi business, because they are saying that there's going to be a paid service coming soon. So with that coming out, that's going to be what Tesla needs to get the share price to turn around, even if their sales are on a bit of a decline. The declining in sales, that could also change over time, but for the time being, this is the pattern that Tesla's on. I'm going to tell you why it's not really the end of the world. So we have this channel. You guys can see this is what Tesla's doing, going back and forth between these levels in the channel. And it looks like if we do see some kind of rally back up to the upside, if we do try to push higher, we're not officially super bullish unless we break out of this channel. Then yes, we're looking for another leg right back up. But for now, it looks like Tesla could be doing this for a couple of months before we see some kind of break right back up. Now, why is this not really scary to me, even if Tesla does continue to decline? Well, the first thing is that, okay, for the short term, let me just look at this just like this. For the short term, we have the potential to see a reversal. At least for the short term, we have this like inverse head and shoulders like structure. So this inverse head and shoulders right here could signify that Tesla is going to try to rebound a bit and start to run right back up, maybe to this trend line, maybe to the 370 to 380 area. But we need to break this trend line to really turn bullish, and there's no sign of that yet. So that's the first thing I want to call out. But then when you look at this, even if we do get some kind of like run like that, if you look at it like this, that is still very, very close to our golden pocket. So it's just a rebound to the golden pocket, which is a very technical move. And like I said before, even if we do get a bounce, we're not necessarily super bullish unless we break this trend line. Now, here's the good part. Check out the historical data I have. Look at the last year for Tesla, okay? We've done this many, many times where we form these like bearish looking channels. We're just dumping, dumping, dumping. Then eventually we get the break. And once the break comes, we start an uptrend and Tesla starts to run very, very quickly, right? There's another example that happened last July when Tesla had a massive decline before we saw that monstrous run back up to almost 300. So this was our break right over here. This was our confirmation, this move right over here that this was about to break out. We got a little back test and we just continued to rally back up to the next level up. So you guys can see we made a full recovery move and we got a break out of this channel, which is what really triggered this breakout. This is a break out of this bullish flag. Same thing happened right over here. We had another bull flag right here. Same setup. This happened back in September of last year. Tesla was on a big decline. There was all this panic. Tesla was in the 200s. And then we got this monstrous rally right back up, forming a V-shaped recovery that happened again. There's another example of it right over here. There's a small little flag that was forming. Big rejection before we saw this breakout of full recovery. So I would presume that we're forming a monster bull flag. And this thing is going to run like crazy when the time is right. Another confirmation of that would be if you hold and hide these indicators, go to like the daily chart. On the daily, check this out, guys. On the daily, we have something very interesting. So there is this gap over here at 335. Tesla gapped up just a couple of days ago. We could still come back down to fill that. We could also return to fill this gap at 320. And there's also a giant gap all the way down around the 250 area. I don't think 250 alone might be a target, but it might be like around 270 to watch for in case we do lose 300. So there is a good chance that Tesla will start to fill some of these gaps again. Hence why I'm saying that we are technically on a decline, and there is still that risk of us getting to that downside. So yes, with the flag in place, okay, I know I put the daily chart, it's a little adjusted. Don't worry about that. This may continue to decline to fill some of these gaps, okay? However, at the same time, we've left a lot of gaps up here. There's a gap over here in the 400s. There's another one over here around the 450s. So we will eventually return to the 400s and 450s, likely during this year, during the second half of this year, in my personal opinion, once we break out of the flag. So when you go to the 4-hour time frame, the same thing is going on here. Let me show you. So what's happening is there's a lot of fear about Elon Musk in politics, this fear about Tesla's sales. I'm not sure how earnings is going to go if we offset our decline in sales with the Model Y refresh. That could be promising, but it's not a guarantee until we see the sales improve. For now, I'm just trying to say that there is technically a large decline in the share price, right? And if we do get some kind of recovery move, right, we have the inverse head and shoulders forming right here. It's possible Tesla continues to rally back into the 380s, which is awesome. But then there's no guarantee this move is going to last, and we may continue to decline for a little bit longer. We could even decline up until the March period to start filling this gap around the 250s. We might not fully fill it. I would say there's a very, very big area of confluence around 270, around the 270 area. That's what I'm going to be looking out for. So if we do start to decline, right, we have this very, very key level near 270. Um, that's based off our liquidity zone and also our volume nodes. And then also right over here, this is where we had like a lot of resistance, which is now going to become our next level of support. So this is where we also had another cup and handle breakouts right here at 270. I think that's going to be the next potential target if we end up losing 300. But that's where Tesla might end up forming a bottom between 270 and 250. That might be the ultimate bottom before a monstrous rally. I think that's very, very probable. So this is what the trend is looking like Tesla. Once again, I could change my view if Tesla just begins to break out of this resistance like that. There's a good chance it might actually attempt to do that. But just to be very, very clear, this is what we're essentially looking out for. So we have this like bottom that formed. If we break out of this flag, there's going to be another monster rally coming, and it could be happening towards the very end of this year. So if you kind of spread this out, let me just spread this out just a little bit better. We could be looking for a move like this where we eventually break out of this flag and we start a very, very nice recovery rally, especially with the new unsupervised FSD coming out. And Tesla might start a big rally to make a full recovery as we approach like the end of the year, once we get past the June period. So I think a move like this is very probable for Tesla because number one, Tesla loves to do this historically. We love to form these flags. There's a lot of examples of this. I'm just naming a couple of them where we got these big declines. We just made some V-shaped recoveries in just a couple of months. There's other examples of this happening many, many times. I think we're doing the same thing on a much larger scale. It's going to be very dependent on the unsupervised FSD. It's going to be dependent on what happens with the Robotaxi, but I do believe that Tesla will eventually see a full recovery. I think that what's going to happen is we're going to see Tesla continue this downtrend. It's going to be a very, very big buying opportunity, and I wouldn't be surprised if we end up testing our key levels right here. So let me show you some key levels. If you go to like our daily chart, so look at like our 200 EMA around that 300 area. If we do end up declining there, if that fails us, I could see us come down to that 270 support, also to where this gap is. So that's something that's worth mentioning. For the short term, it might rally back up to where the upper trend line is, but for the medium term, there is a risk of us continuing this decline because of more bad news. So please keep that in mind. This is likely what Tesla will be doing. A little rally before it continues this downtrend. And then once we break out of this flag, I'm going to be looking for a full recovery and a nice rally towards the end of the year. So for all those people out there who are saying Tesla's going to be running to $475 a share, $500 a share, it's very possible if Tesla does truly launch the unsupervised FSD in June, that's going to be a massive catalyst. And then if they start launching more developments for their Optimus robot, I think that's enough to wow investors and for Tesla to make a full recovery. I'm not scared whatsoever of this decline. Now, what's going to happen is they're going to scare you. They're going to try to get you to panic, sell, get out of your position. That's exactly how the market works. Once we all turn bearish, once everyone starts to panic if Tesla does lose 300, that's exactly when you turn greedy. When people turn fearful, you turn greedy, and that's when Tesla will make a full recovery move. Okay, so yeah, Tesla could run like crazy. I'm not scared whatsoever. For the short term, yeah, we could be bearish, run a downtrend, sure. Yes, there's still some decline, sure, but I'm very confident that Tesla will continue to offset that by number one. I think that their sales will recover because it's kind of exaggerated how their sales are declining and this and that when the new refresh hasn't even been launched yet. It's not officially on the streets yet. So we're waiting for that, and then we're going to be waiting for their next FSD developments when they start launching the demos in like Texas and then other parts of California. So it's all centered around their gigafactories, right? You have their gigafactory in Fremont, California. Then you have the Giga Texas. They're centering everything around there and studying the different capabilities before they start launching in a lot more areas. So when you launch in more areas, it's not only going to gain a lot more exposure, but it's going to start building Tesla another revenue stream. And when investors realize that, hey, they're not just making revenue from energy storage. It's not just cars. There's other ways for them to make revenue, and they could actually do it on paper. It's like a real thing. It's not just them talking about it this time around, because Tesla's been saying this for many years, right? This has been going on for years. They're finally getting us closer to that real goal, and that's going to be very, very massive. So, yes, there's going to be hurdles along the way. Yes, Tesla may continue this downtrend, even if we do get a temporary rally back up to the upper resistance. I believe that what's going to happen is we will continue this downtrend, but I that's what I favor as long as we don't break the upper trend line. But then eventually we will break and we will make a full recovery and break all-time highs. I still think Tesla could run to the 500s by the end of the year if everything goes as planned. If we get the unsupervised FSD, if we do see these Optimus robots coming out, and if Tesla's sales improve after the Model Y refresh comes out, all of that is very pragmatic and very realistic. It's very, very possible Tesla makes a full recovery. So don't count Tesla out. Don't bet against Elon Musk. Historically, when you bet against Elon Musk and Tesla, it does not work in your favor. Just look at, for example, the weekly chart. Tesla is still up very, very big. If you look at the last couple of months, it's actually on an uptrend, right? You guys could see this could also be looked at as a giant cup and handle on the weekly. So if we do get some kind of decline, whether we do end up retesting the 300s or even 270s, right? It could still make a full recovery like there's no tomorrow. This also resembles an inverse head and shoulders, or I would say like more like a cup and handle. It's going to make a recovery, guys. I'm not scared whatsoever. I'm very confident in the long term of this company. For the short term, look at this as an opportunity. Okay, we might pump a little bit for the week, but then later on, if there's big declines coming, anything under $300 could be a good buy for the long term if you're willing to hold for years and years and years. Not financial advice when I say that, but there were lots of other opportunities that I was talking about back when Tesla was in the 100s and the 200s. I already gave you guys those opportunities in my earlier videos. I'm just here to give you guys an update about what I think is going to pan out from this point on. So yeah, I do see the risk of more downside, might pump a bit before it continues to dip, but then we're going to be looking for a monster rally for the full recovery when the time is right. I thank you all so much for listening. Have a good rest of your day. I'll be back with another updates tomorrow. Keep in mind the stock market is going to be closed tomorrow because of President's Day and George Washington's birthday in honor of all of that. So please, thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys very, very soon in my next video for tomorrow. Thank you for listening, and peace out.